Dr. Jazz.
Taking the time, I really appreciate it. And
Dr.
you know, I've
Jazz.
listened to your music for quite some time now, and you know, I love what you've done. And uh,
Wow, thank you.
fantastic player and composer, and want to dig into some of the stuff you've done and how you did it. So, and
Wow, thank you.
but I'll just start. I'll just jump in. I wanted to ask you about Magic Dance actually, and I listened to it today. You know, and I've been a fan of Kenny Barron's music for such a long time. I mean, he's one of the best composers out there, of course, a piano player also. But
Yeah.
what's your story with Kenny? I know you know you did that Bop Lives record back in the 90s, but like stupid question,
That's
but
it. This way.
why Kenny, and what's the story with him, you know?
Well, back in the '96 when I did the first one, it was I was with the Candid Records, and I had producer Mark Morganelli, and he says, "Greg, you want to do another CD? How about I get Kenny Barron, Rufus, Reid, and Ben Riley, and you see about Claudio?" And I said, "Sure." So we did that. It was a 5-hour session.
Wow.
And I didn't get to speak to Kenny much at all. Yeah, it was like really quick, and he was very quiet then. And when I met him 20 years later, at the Maine Jazz Festival, I was talking to my record company, Whaling City Sound at the time, and I said I'd like to do a CD with Kenny. I thought it would be good for my career to do something, and and Kenny said, "Sure, I'd love to do it." And then that catalyzed the second one. And then I got some of Kenny's tunes. It took me a while, and I tried to make them different harmonically and different flavors and different instruments. And the pandemic caused me to. We had to cancel the recording session, and then so I had a few months, and I started to rearrange the things again. So I had another version of the arrangements. That's how that happened.
How did Kenny react when you presented the arrangements? And I mean, because you played, you know, soprano and baritone and I think you played like 5 saxes or.
He said, "Wow, that's cool." He said he liked the overdubs. Yeah, he said that he liked it, and he said he liked what I did with his music. He was very honored that I took the time to take some of his music and do a recording with him. Of course, it's good for me too to record with Kenny Barron and that whole group, and it was number 1 on the jazz charts in the United States for 7-8 weeks.
Oh wow, really? Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. What about his compositions? I mean, did you ever always like his playing? I mean, like way in the back. I mean, his composing or
not really? No, just a few things.
Oh, okay.
But I asked him to send me. He sent me music, and I looked at them, and I didn't have a big reference on a lot of the things how he recorded them, but I just I'm a melody and chord guy, so I just go for that. Rather than I said, well, maybe I should listen to it, and I failed to like check out a lot of it how it was recorded, and when I heard some of it, I said, wow, that's totally different tempo than I thought altogether, you know, but. It can't be always the same, right?
Oh, sure, man. Yeah.
So it basically was all fresh, like a fresh concept that I had to it. I didn't have any prerequisites or any things to compare it to or try to imitate to be like.
Okay. Like, but did you ever play this music live with Kenny?
This is the way.
Oh yeah, sorry. Did you ever play this music live? No.
Yes. I played it live for like maybe a year and a half or so on gigs. I play a lot of the tunes and promote the recording, and like people would buy the recording, you know, and I get a lot of good response with it.
Yeah.
His agent didn't want him to do any record release parties. She didn't want him to do any. She held him back, which is like, you know, in my recording company, he was he was appeasing that. He was letting that happen. He didn't want to raise any flags or anything, you know. So he said she doesn't want him to do it, but can't ask him to do it. So we didn't do it.
Okay.
But I played the music, you know, and it was good. It would have been good for me to do it with him, you know,
Sure.
for my career.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I'm all right the way so far.
Awesome.
Is there a delay in time talking?
No, it's okay. It's I hear you okay and everything. It's just sometimes the connection, you know. It's but the video and the sound is really good. So even if you
Good.
you're
I'm on
delayed.
my iPad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. But Greg, I wanted to ask you, you know, what about your own composing? I mentioned like the older stuff. Like I love the tunes, you know, Minorism and Bob City and stuff. What you've written, and how do you usually progress
Yeah.
with composing?
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me just do this. Give me a second. Well, so I'd be sitting here and I would have my piano and I would just do something like this. I'd hit this change and I just think, well, that's cool. So what could I do? I could go to here.
Yeah.
And go back like that, you know? That would be a phrase of changes, and I would work with changes, and I would think, well, gee, let's do that again, or maybe I should do it like a waltz.
Yeah.
And I'm improvising in my head, and I'm singing melodies constantly, and I tried to edit so I can catch something to write down before I forget the line.
Yeah, sure.
I should record the line. I should record the line and sing it with my phone, and so that's how I do it. And other times I'll take a tune and do on a lot of standards I've written on, like you know, right melodies. It's so much fun to have the great changes already, and then you can alter the changes, and you can also write the write the lines on it, and as long as it can be played by, you know, and make it right, it should work out. And I'm pretty fairly good with that. I like doing it, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good method, of doing things actually.
Is that what you do?
I mean, I usually put on music by other people, you know, like let's say I need to write a ballad for a project, then I would put on I don't know, Paul Motion trio, and I'd be like, okay, shit, I got it. And just, you know,
I see.
The entire thing pops up just to be inspired with something by something. I mean, and
I guess my inspiration comes from like what I've heard, so I remember it really clearly, like listening to, you know, Bird play a ballad, or Sonny Stitt, or Phil Woods, or Dexter, or Train, different aspects of a tune, and try to do it. I can't even see how I would do something new right now. I always think about doing something that is new for me, but it's not new for the world. You know, I just think of making something different.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of. I don't know if you have this problem, but like many times when I compose, you know, I write something, and then I realize, or at least I think, that I have already written this like 10 years ago, something similar. And then I just skip it. And, you know, when I speak to composers, many of them are like, no, shit, don't do that. You know, of course, it's how you write and how you think. But
right. It's just because you were so into we all developed our own voice so far, probably, if you did it so many years.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll write a tune and I'll say like that. I say, oh, this sounds just like that other tune. I have to do something different with it. I like this melody's different, but it has the same kind of chords going on. You know, I get caught up in that chord, and sometimes the same keys, I like the same keys in.
Sure.
You know, like, so it's like we're all doing the same thing. I wonder, I talked to Phil Woods about composing, and he says you just like do what you feel, like, you know, and he was a pretty really good piano player. And you just say, you hear it, you own it. He said, once you hear it, it's yours. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have to order. And then, did you ever do this when you were a younger composer, thinking, "Gee, I wonder what they're gonna like, if people are gonna like this,
Oh,
or if
sure.
they're gonna like that?" And you think, well, what do people like? How if you
Yeah.
whatever you play, they're gonna like. If they don't like it, because they're not gonna know what the other option was.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no need to like crazy, right?
Yeah. It's yeah.
But it's still, yeah.
I agree. No, it's like many times I wonder. I don't think the greats ever wondered or asked themselves, you know, what will others say? I think they just, you know, I think that's a good
Just
philosophy.
do it.
Yeah, just do it. I mean, but yeah, we always seem
When
to
I was a younger composer, I used to think more like I wanted to make people like it. You know, I don't want to do something that I was worried that it would sound bad. You know, I said, "Oh, are they going to like this? Maybe I should do this chord because it's not so out sounding." But because
yeah.
you think people know what we know. I think that people know about things. I'm very naive, but they don't know. They don't know this. Just like I don't know how to build a rocket ship. You know, I don't know anything like that. I can see it go up and everything, but I have no idea. So they hear the music, and a lot of people say, "Gee, how do you do that?" I mean, it's like, you know, let's say something. When I say, "Well, how do you do what you do?" and they say, "Yeah, you do," you know. So, but harmony is something that's a sound that is like these two notes, kind of dissonant, but they sound good to me. But someone else, they would cringe.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
but with that, it depends where you put it with. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. It's I sometimes teach that, you know, on guitar to students, like play a minor second. It kind of
Yeah.
sounds ugly. I mean, to me it doesn't, but to them maybe. And then just put like, you know, fifth on the bottom, and you'll have like a major seven kind of idea, or you know, and it's
Yeah. Like a minor second.
yeah,
Right?
like yeah, and then like from the lowest, like a fifth below, and then you get like a E, B, and C,
Oh.
B natural kind of. Yeah.
Oh, it's a major seven. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, the students are always like, man, wow, that's beautiful. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's nice to have a formula. Yeah, students like they have to know how harmony works, and
Yeah.
it takes a while to get that. I mean, so where's why I have trouble teaching like how to a lot of people with introductions pick up notes. They don't understand the pickup note to the top of the tune, like, you know, like that.
Yeah.
They'll put that on the first bar, and like that's hard to explain why. Isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I just hear that in like C minor, lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Then this one, I think this. Oh, where is it? Here it is.
Yeah.
There we go. C minor, not C minor major, minor major 7, or C minor 6/9.
That's beautiful.
Nice,
that is nice
you
sound.
push that guitar. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm amazed at the guitar players. I can't imagine how you guys do it.
Oh man, it's like God. We always wonder about the other instruments, right? But Greg, I wanted to ask you, like you mentioned before, you know, Dexter and Charlie and Phil Woods, and what was it for you, like that actually when you were a teenager got you excited for playing this music? Actually, I'll put it like that. I mean,
just the love of it, love of music. Yeah.
Did you hear like a particular record or?
My first record was Dave Brubeck's Time Out.
Time Out, okay.
I was in the high school. I was 9th grade. I don't know if you know, almost out of the school before you go to college, right? 9th grade. And I played alto sax, and I was trying to play Take 5. But before that, I was playing in the stage band of the school orchestra. I had no idea about harmony or
Mm.
improvisation or jazz. I was just reading notes, and I didn't know what the letter chords meant. So I started there, and I went to the Berklee College of Music,
Okay.
very naive out of high school. I was very, very limited. Some of the other kids that came in, like Richie Cole, those guys were playing right away. You know, I don't know if you know Richie,
Sure. Yeah, of course.
the
Amazing.
alto player.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
So it depends where you come from, with the high school you come from, you know, and who's your teacher and all that. I had a classical teacher teaching me. I was a clarinet player.
Yeah.
So, and then I started to get into the what writing at Berklee and like learning about the jazz history, and that's how I started. I didn't really listen to a lot of jazz when I was a teenager,
Well, okay.
so I had no idea. I was listening to the top 40 melodies, which were really melodic back then. You know, they
Sure.
had a melody to them, and those melodies would catch my ear, and I say, "Hey, that sounds good," you know, sounds nice. And then I think that's part of my whole thing, my creativity, you know, listening to that. And then, of course, all my listening to all post things have inspired me to be more into the jazz world and like thinking about how phrasing is and
Mm-hmm.
playing lead alto saxophone in big bands and how to play and play long lines. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's all part of it, you know.
How was this Berkeley experience
Yeah.
like for you? I mean,
Berklee?
Yeah.
It was very it was very foreign to me because I didn't know the chords, and I didn't play very well for improvisation. I was very limited to that, and I was never on the top of the jazz workshop. I could never get my improvisation good enough to be part of a quartet or something. So
Okay.
I was pretty disappointed. I used to write a lot of tunes though, and I was into that back then. In the piano room, I just sit there and play chords and learn how to voice things, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot going on my past history. I don't know if I can really remember everything, but if you ask the question, I might.
Yeah.
Am I doing okay?
Yeah. No, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you also after Berkeley, I've read you went to LA and you got a gig with Ray Charles and
Yeah, I did, but I was there first playing with a funk band. Friends of mine from this area.
Oh,
They
okay.
said to me, "Greg, you want to go out to Hollywood?" I said, "Hollywood? Yeah, well, yeah, let's go. What are we gonna do there?" So I got a friend that's putting a band together, and he wants the horn section. So we went out, myself and then a trombone player, a baritone sax player, and a trumpet player. We drove out there.
Wow.
It was we did it in about 3 days to get to Hollywood, which is like over 3,000 miles.
Sure.
But we didn't stop. You know, we kept changing drivers, and then I played in that band for a couple of years, and then I met other people in LA, and I joined their band. I must have been in like 3 or 4 or 5 different bands, playing on Sunset Strip 6 nights a week, going to Vegas, playing in these show things, and
wow.
doing a couple of recordings for Motown Records for this vocalist Gloria Jones. And I had to borrow a tenor saxophone to do that. And I was living in Santa Monica with a bunch of other musicians. It was like 7 of us.
Wow.
And I had lost my gig, and I was there. I was like living off everybody, you know, smoking their cigarettes, and we didn't have much food as it was, but I was like eating some because I was just like didn't have any money. So one day, one of the guys that wasn't a musician said to me, he said, "Greg, you know, you're gonna have to find a gig or something or job because you can't stay here that long because we have, you know, you should be putting in something. You know, you should go out and get a job at a store or do something." And I went down to Hollywood, a local, not 27, and I went in there, and they had a bulletin board with a note saying that Ray Charles is auditioning for a new band tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
A whole new jazz orchestra to go on the road. Yeah, it said be there at 9 o'clock. if you want to audition. So I went there, and I got the section, and I was starting to play, and a couple of my teachers from Berkeley were writing charts for Ray Charles. And they said, "Hey, Greg, how you doing? Wow, how you doing? You gonna audition, I guess, right?" And I said, "Yeah, that's why I'm here." He says, "Wow, good luck, and all that." And then they're playing in a section, and then Ray Charles walks in, and he comes up. He says, "Who's that on lead alto? Who's that on lead alto?" I said, "Oh, my name is Greg Abate, Mr. Charles." He says, "Yeah, I like your sound, boy. I said, "This nice tone." Yeah, so he was giving the arm gestures and everything. And then I kept coming back to audition every day for about 3 or 4 days. About that. And the last day I went there, and I said to the manager, "I'd like to speak to Ray because I want to coming back every day. I'm kind of stressed out with this, not getting the gig. I don't know if I have it."
Yeah.
He says, "Well, Mr. Charles will see you upstairs if you want. I'll arrange it." So I went, but I knocked on the door. He says, "Who's that?" I said, "Greg Abate." He says, "Greg, come on in. What's up?" He always called me boy. He said, "Boy, what's up, Greg?" I said, "Well, I've been coming here like for 4 days, and I don't know if I have the gig or not." He says, "Well, there's a lot of music there. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for doing it?" I was 26,
Wow.
I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." He said, "Yeah, you got the gig, Greg. You're on the band." So,
Wow.
so then I went out with this guy that was a former alto saxophone lead alto player with the band. He said to me, "Come over to my house and I'll give you some tips on how to play with the band, and to get like a shortcut so you don't have to make mistakes."
Sure.
And I went there, and he just was very negative. He said, "You can't play. What's wrong? You think you can play this music? Boy, you can't play this." And I said, "What are you talking about? You asked me to come here to help me." So eventually I left. It was a horrible experience. And I told Ray about that. He was saying, "Oh, that guy, I'll never hire him again."
Oh
And
man, that's
I
terrible.
think he just was upset he didn't get the gig.
Yeah, sure.
He wasn't auditioning this time, but I don't know why he was upset. I guess he didn't like me because I was who I was, kind of like discriminating against
Yeah.
me.
And
Yeah.
how was the time with Ray? I mean, did you tour like also Europe or just the States with him?
Yeah, all of Europe,
Wow.
not South America. We went to all of Eastern Europe, right? It was
Wow. Yeah.
every country.
Wow.
So I can name, France, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Norway, uh, Denmark, Sweden, Netherlands, Germany, East and West Berlin.
Wow, man, that must have been crazy.
It's
Wow.
everything. Like in we went to Portugal and Switzerland
Wow.
and Norway and different places. And then what I did was I played there, and then I managed to do some other things after I left there when I came back, and I just wanted to come back home, and I met a girl. We got together, and I moved back to the East Coast, started doing fusion band, and did pretty good. But I wrote a lot of music fusion. I loved funk, jazz, and Latin, really heavy, hard hitting stuff. And then I played with a big band in town for like 10 years every Monday night, and then I joined the Artie Shaw band playing tenor sax, and did that for a year and a half or so. Then I started to barnstorm around the country.
Yeah.
I go out after I did that first Bop City Live at Birdland recording. I started to go. There was radio stations that called me up and say, "Hey," like in Milwaukee, in Minnesota. He said, "Greg, we have that record. Would you like to come into the station? We'll fly you in here. We'll do something, and you get a gig in town."
Wow,
and
man.
that stopped a lot of my international soloists getting. Then I was playing in Denver at a club that hired all great alto players. Like, I was honored to be there. Like, they had Sonny Stitt, Phil Woods, Art Pepper, and Dick Johnson, who was one of my mentors, and the guy booked it. He booked all alto players, and
Wow,
so
interesting.
my mentor, Dick Johnson, got me in there. And that was that started a lot, and that's what it is. With I'm really lucky I had that, because I never played with any other bands that were notable, like you know. And I think a lot of guys that get to do that, like they play with Miles or somebody, you're pretty well set. You know what I mean? After that,
exactly.
You know, Claudio Roditi played with Dizzy Gillespie, and you know that was good for him. And I played with Claudio a lot. He was on a couple of my amps. We played.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I like that.
How did you hook up with Claudio, by the way? Because you played so much together.
Yeah. Well, he was coming to Connecticut in the United States, and this person that I played with in Hartford, he was the piano player, Don De Palma. He said, "Greg, you know, did you ever hear Claudio Roditi?" I said, "No, I never heard of him." He said, "Well, you got to come up and hear him. He's a great Brazilian trumpet player, and he's a good jazz player. I went to Berkeley. I didn't know him then. Had no idea." And so I went there, and he said, "Bring your horn, maybe." I said, "Oh," I brought my horn. And so Claudio asked me to sit in. Wow. And then we played. He said, I played almost the whole set with him. And then I said, "Hey, sometime you want to do something together?" And he said, "Yeah." So then in 1987, we did a recording called Spirit. Never got out. It was really cool. I got to say, so cool, a classic thing, you know. And then we did the other ones and started doing gigs together. I got him gigs in New York, and he got me gigs, and I got him in Boston. We did all this stuff together, like you know. And then we did that. It did Straight Ahead album.
Yeah.
And then we did Horace Is Here. And then he asked me to play on Manhattan Samba Manhattan stuff.
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's it. That's how it happened.
Yeah, he's quite such a player.
On Straight Ahead.
Such a player. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very eloquent player. It's like very, very distinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one, the Straight Ahead album was supposed to be me and Richie Cole. Was supposed to be us, and he couldn't make the session because he was not feeling good, and it was the day of, and Mark Morganelli, the producer, said you should call Claudio and see if he can do it. It was the day before, so Claudio said he'd do it, and we went over, and I stayed at his house in Brooklyn, and we went through all my arrangements, and then we went and played the next day with George Mraz and Hilton, Ruiz, and Kenny Washington.
Yeah.
And that's how that Straight Ahead album happens. That was another quick session.
Oh man,
5 hours or so. It's hard to record like that without rehearsing.
Yeah, I mean, but you had like
the one with Kenny Barron,
players, always amazing players on those albums.
Yeah. Really great. So, did you find me? Did you know me?
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot how you knew me.
You know this All Music, like Penguin Guide to Jazz, the book, thick one.
All Music Guide.
Yeah, like a Penguin Guide to Jazz, and you know, I'm.
It says Greg. I'm in there on the alto on the.
Yeah.
I see. I'm just playing this chord. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. It's a nice one.
Yeah. I'm in F minor. I'm going to go to D major. That's not. Well, that's pretty cool, but it's like really, it's really kind of drastic.
I love that. That's a nice thing. Yeah.
That's it.
Now, Greg, I wanted to ask you.
But check this out, though. I want to E. Okay, that's a different one, right? Yeah. Well, I mean that E minor, right? I mean that to me everything sounds pretty good.
I think
nice. I love that.
I think you'll have a tune after this. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call it Samo.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to ask you, how did you decide, or how did these bands that you recorded come together? You know, like you had James Williams on Bob City, I love that, and you know, or George Mraz, or Rufus Reid, and all these players.
Well, it was the Mark Morganelli. He
Oh,
was the producer of the
yeah,
Candid Record. Alan Bates lived in London. He was the owner of the label,
okay,
and he had Mark do a lot of recordings. He would have him just get the guys together. And Mark knew all these great players. And I don't know, he says, Greg, how would you like to do an album with James Williams, you know, Rufus Reid and Kenny Washington? I said, wow, I don't know them that well, but like I'm doing. I showed up at Birdland. We did rehearsed one day and then recorded that night,
wow,
and that was it. And then the next one, he put together that one with George Mraz and Hilton and so forth, and then the one with Kenny Barron with those guys.
yeah,
And then I put together some other ones myself as the producer of getting the musicians together. And it was another thing like that where people put things together for me. So I was playing the festival in Duluth, Idaho, Moscow, Idaho,
hmm,
at Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival in the winter. This agent got me the gig, and the producer there, Dr. Skinner, he used the production of the festival. He says, "Hey, Greg, we're going to bring you out here. You're going to be a guest. How you like playing with Elvin Jones and Barry Harris and like, Brian Cranshaw and Elton John, and then Elvin Jones?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I? mean, I was a guest, and I did that. Played a couple of tunes with that guest session, trio, and then I played with Paquito de Rivera
wow,
on one side, James Moody on one side, then Claudio Roditi, Lionel Hampton on vibes. And it was like, I had all these things in front of me playing with all these guys.
wow,
That's it. So it was kind of lucky, huh? I
yeah.
think.
How was it with Alvin?
Well, I always wondered, like, huh?
How was it with Alvin?
What? What?
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
Elvin played very hard. He didn't listen. He didn't. Yeah, it was really, really interesting.
hmm,
Wow. It was like
interesting.
having a big train in back here. It was really hard. I was playing softly as the morning sunrise. I was really kick. He was really, and so Hank Jones was playing piano, actually, his brother.
Oh, wow.
And I said to Hank, I said, I noticed that Alvin doesn't listen to what I was playing that much. He says, well, he doesn't listen to anybody, Greg. He just listens to himself. And we drove from the hotel together. Like the taxi service was Elvin in the front seat, me in the back seat, and Hank Jones next to me, and the taxi cab driver. So
That's a
I'm in the
nice
car
ride.
with these legends.
Yeah.
Unreal, man. It was fun.
I always loved Hank Jones, man. He was such a beautiful player. Such a nice player.
Yeah. So many unique players. Like it's hard to have a favorite. I like everybody really. That's great. It's like you find something that you like to listen to because you don't want to have the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like Mr. Rogers chord.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you also about your story with Phil Woods. I mean, he's one of the greats. You mentioned him already. Like, how did you connect with Phil, actually?
Well, the only time I saw Phil, I saw him play live a couple of times, but
Sure.
I was in an airport and I'm on the treadway thing, on the treadway,
Yeah.
and he's coming on the other belt, right? And I see this guy. I said, "Put that hat." I said, "It's got to be Phil Woods," And he's like going tromping down to get to someone. And I just go, and I didn't say anything, but I said, "I actually passed Phil Woods, but I can't talk to him, so I got to get going." And then years passed, and I sent him some stuff. I said, I really, would you be interested to do a gig with me? He says, I know who you are, Greg, but I can't. I'm really expensive. I said, I don't know if I really can do it right now. I'm very busy, but I know who you are, and I think you swing. You're a good player, Greg. I said, really? You like? He said, yeah, I've heard you before. I said, so years went by, and I called him again, and he said, okay, I'll do it, but I want so much per song. We did that one in Pennsylvania. It was Greg Abate featuring Phil Woods with
Bill Goodwin,
so,
right? That one.
You got that one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love Bill also.
Bill
I mean, he's
Goodwin.
such a great drummer.
Yeah, it was him and Jesse Green and the bass player. I can't remember anymore, but we did that. And then my wife was with me and met him. The first time I met him formally, he came in. He has an oxygen tank, and he said at the end of the session, he said that he wanted me to want to come over to my house. He lived right around up the hill, a little ways down in the Deer Head Inn around there, Delwater Gap, Delaware. And Kerry and I went, and we had he gave us cherry pie. He said, you like cherry pie? We had cherry pie. I watched some of the videos of him when he was really burning shit, and like, and then we left, and we became friends with him sort of, and his wife, and then we did that live thing at Chan's in Woonsocket, Kindred Spirits. That was another thing. He came here. Rick put him here for a couple of days. We did that, and then we played a gig in Boston, driving around. And then we had a gig in Cleveland, and it was 2 nights in Cleveland. And I drove to Delaware Water Gap from Boston. I picked him up. He says, "Bring the Mercedes, Greg. I had a classic car." He said, "Bring the Mercedes, Greg, okay?" I pull up in his driveway, and he comes out and he says, "You got a CD player in there?" I said, "Yeah, I got one." He said, "Okay, good. You got your cigarette lighter working? Because I don't want to die in the road." He was like talking about how he was worried. I said, "Man, I didn't even think about that, because I suppose that thing wasn't working. I couldn't have taken my car." But he listened. We listened to great clarinet players all the way to Cleveland. It was something else. And then he played his last, and I thought he sounded really good on clarinet.
Yeah,
he did.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an amazing player. Yeah, I like that album that you did, the featuring one. It's really cool.
Was the quartet one?
Yeah,
the quintet
with Phil. Yeah,
or the one at
no,
the
that
double
one featuring with Bill Goodwin. And
you like that one?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, he only wanted to play 5 tunes on it. That's why I did a lot of my own.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You kind of see the heritage also where you come from, and but still, it's very individual. Your voice also and his, and it's nice to hear this kind of.
Yeah, I called him up and that happened, and it was really nice. So, I'm not bragging, but I mean, I'm just telling you facts. What he said to me, we're doing a workshop in Cleveland at the university, at Case University, and he's in front of the big band, and he put me through some really different changes. We're doing, I remember April, it's a tune that we kept doing. We kept going on in different keys, and I had to just modulate to do the key, and it was kind of difficult. But he's talking to the band, and he said, "Hey, you guys don't play. What's wrong with you? You're not putting any air in the horn. There's nothing happening. Where's the energy? What's going on here?" And they said, "Come on, put some energy into your instruments. Let's hear it." And they said, "That's good, He says, "But I don't hear that much passion going on here in the solos and stuff." He said, he puts his arm around me. He says, "That's why I like Greg Abate, because he plays with passion."
No,
he said that to me. So I guess something like that, is nice to hear. And although I don't boast about it, but it's something that he told me that Bird told him he sounded good. And he said that made my day, because if you have good support by either a teacher or someone that you idolize or you look up to, it helps you get going. You can also have the negative, which can be very detrimental.
Yeah.
if you're teaching a student and you're very harsh and mean with the person, you know, it's not good. I get a lot of that sometimes. We go to the doing workshops in different colleges and stuff. They say, you know, Greg, we don't know you that well, but we had someone in and they really chewed out our band. I hope you don't not like that. You know.
Oh wow, really? Oh wow. Yeah, I find that so bad. You know, I think I always, when I teach, you always try to find. There's always something good in a student or in a player or in a person. I mean, you know, and I think you should grasp on that, not on the bad thing, and then
right
slowly approach the bad thing.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, something that you can also.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get to know the person a little bit to find all those things.
Yeah,
You can't do it the first. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now, I don't have many students, and I've been doing mostly playing now because the school I taught at was like adjunct at a college, and since the COVID, there was not. It's sort of like diminished badly.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you play? Have you played a lot after COVID? I mean, did the gigs come back or?
Yeah.
Yeah. How fantastic.
Yeah, my schedule's got normally a lot of gigs coming up, you know, for the rest of the year and into next year and stuff. I'll be in England for like a month this year.
Really?
Straight. October 19th to November 19th.
Whoa.
I've got all those gigs. I got like a couple of days off.
Fantastic.
I'm on a train every day or the day. Sometimes I get a ride from a friend or a fan, and I play with a different trio at every gig. They show up, and some people I know from before, other ones are new. I play, go on to the next gig, and stuff like that.
Wow.
Like that was going to where you are. Are there any gigs there that bring guys out like me or could do something?
I mean, it's now after COVID, it went a little bit even down. You know, there used to be more gigs, but now it's like
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for if you do stuff like that, in Germany is quite good for that. Actually, there are many clubs in Germany that kind of, you know, have a feature artist from the States, and then
yeah, I don't have any contacts right now.
Yeah, I mean but it's hard. Yeah, I think after COVID it's quite heavy. Many clubs closed also, and you know, but it's
yeah,
it's what it is.
You know, it is what it is. Yeah, it's who you know too, and like going over there, find someone that brings. Or if I'm in Europe, to go over there, you know, it's easy to go from one country to another.
Yeah, if you're in Europe,
it's not flying across.
Yeah, let me know when you're.
You have to know
when you're in Europe. Let me know. Drop me a line, or send me an email when exactly you're in Europe, and maybe I can check some friends of mine. I mean,
yeah, that'd be great. Well, this year I'm booked. I already got my airline ticket booked, so I don't have any open ends to go anywhere. But next year I'm coming in July. I'll let you know.
Oh, super summer!
Is that good?
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, that's amazing. Beautiful. Also, if you need to crash, we have a guest room here in our house, and you know, if you have to stay, it's not a problem. So.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
It'd be nice to play a gig with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite more not so straight-aheadish, maybe. That's I go quite more.
Maybe you know somebody that I could play.
Yeah, definitely.
Avant-garde?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I play lots of changes and odd meters and stuff like that, and like more towards the.
Yeah, I understand that. That's nice to play. When I would do those type of tunes, that I'm probably not as eloquent as you, but I would do it, and I would write a different solo section because I would have a flavor of it. Because to make a solo, you know, you have a different chord. Do you do that?
Love that? Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's always nice, you know. Always when I write music, also I kind of picture a player you're gonna play with, of course, and then I'm like, man, he's really good at that, and you have to use that.
Yeah,
it's so
and have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be that. Yeah, to have a straight ahead thing going. I mean, not straight, but the different harmony
Yeah,
rhythms.
exactly.
So you wouldn't have so many oblique time signatures.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes it better to me. I like it interesting because it's not always the same, right? I mean, it's not the same thing going over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah,
But sometimes you can do.
I agree. Yeah.
So what else do you think you'd like to ask me?
I just wanted to ask you, like, you know, Magic Dance was kind of the last one I heard from you, and like, what are you planning as a band leader with albums? I mean, have you recorded something new, or are you planning to release some?
Oh, I've got one coming out July. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. It's on Summit Records.
Oh, okay.
Summit, SUMMIT. It's an Arizona label.
Yeah.
And it's coming out July 8th, and it's called Reunion.
Ah, fantastic.
It's a quartet. All originals of mine and my friend has plays bass, and we used to play together in the late 70s, and then we sort of like went different directions, and we did gigs in between a little bit, but now we just decided to do this recording and combine our originals together and make this recording as a reunion between our friendship and music. So it's coming out in July. Do you get CDs from them?
No,
do they send
probably
you
not.
CDs?
Probably not in Slovenia now. But it might be on Bandcamp or something like that. I'll check it out definitely.
Yeah, like if not, I can send you one myself.
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to have it. Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, well, you could do it. Send me your address, and I'll put one in the mail either tomorrow or the next day. Got some. They're not released yet, but they gave me some samples.
Oh, super! I'd love to.
I'll show you what it looks like.
Oh yeah, please.
Want to see what it looks like?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Well, this is the cover.
Oh wow, nice, beautiful.
Can you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Or is it blurry?
Hi, so it's a live one. Ah, it's fantastic.
Too much light. Yeah, it's live in the studio, and and like it's got like the tunes in the back.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Hey, you know what? I can mail it to you, and I'd probably get there in maybe a week or so, huh?
Yeah, it usually takes like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really see it through this,
No,
right?
it's beautiful.
See it, right?
Fantastic. It's good that you have a nice new release. Beautiful. Looking forward to this. Fantastic.
Thank you, man. It's got how many tunes does it have? 14 tunes.
Oh, that's a lot. Oh.
It's got 15 tunes.
Wow.
15, I think.
Okay. Fantastic.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, you could.
Beautiful.
Huh? I can mail it to you. I'll put it in the post tomorrow. Tomorrow's. Yeah, I could do it tomorrow or the next day. I just gotta get you. You can email me your address real accurately so I get it right. No.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. So yeah, beautiful, Greg. I mean, thanks for sharing some of these stories. I mean, I won't. I'll give you a nice. What is today? A Monday afternoon. So
yeah.
But thanks for sharing some of this stuff. Appreciate it.
You give me what?
You're
gonna give me what?
I'll let you have a nice Monday afternoon. So. I didn't get the whole sentence. So you're gonna let me have what on Monday? No, I'm saying here in Slovenia it's already 11 p.m. and I'll let you have a nice afternoon. So that's why. Yeah, I think you said yeah. Okay, have a nice afternoon. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll get to hear this sometime. Yeah. I'll send you a link when this is out. I think it's going to be out like in late summer. So I'll send you a link and everything, and then we can share it and everything. So. Okay. In the meantime, you send me your address, okay? I will. Good. Thanks so much, Greg. Thank you. Address. I will. I need your address. I will. I'll send it.